So yeah, the kid's got a lot of work to do. That's all right. He's going to get his opportunities, especially with the way that things sit right now. Chiefs spent a lot of draft capital on him, and it's going to pay off. We're going to talk about how Khalen Saunders is going to fit into this defense right now. Welcome back. This is Ryan going rogue on the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is another one of my kind of first takes videos, specifically about Khalen Saunders. And I know I've been promising you guys a video about him for quite a while. So I've gone through and I've seen every outtake that I can find from camp and gone back and looked at some of his film. And I come back to the thing that really hits home about him is for a man his size at 324 pounds, 6 foot even, about my size, a little bit bigger. He explodes off the ball really, really well. Uses his feet well. He can cross over. He's nimble for a man his size, and that's saying something. And I think his athleticism is what I keep coming back to that he's going to have to rely on. And honestly, it's the thing that I think is going to make him effective for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019 in his role. The question is, just what's his role going to be? I know how I would use him, and I think I know how the progression's going to go, and it's a little bit dependent on, first and foremost, the Chris Jones situation. And as I record this, Jones is still not negotiating with the team. They haven't made any progress, so they're still kind of out in limbo. But I do believe Jones is going to be in by August 6th. That's kind of the magic number, and we've told you about that on the podcast as well. So I'm really not worried about it not happening. But if he does miss a few days, especially early on, that means reps for Khalen Saunders. And that's important because the transition, especially along the defensive line, especially against a unit like this, the Chiefs' offensive line that he'll practice against is very athletic. And they're one of the more athletic units in terms of the offensive lines across the whole league. And they're, especially with that aspect, able to defeat or compensate some of his natural ability. So it'll make him work that much harder, and that's a great thing. Chris Jones is a penetrator, and so is Khalen Saunders. I expect him to line up at the 3 technique. You can see him, because of his size, possibly coming in relief of NNadi, who I expect to start as the more slanted, the other tackle. But in this particular scheme, in the 4-3 under that they're going to run quite a bit, I think, when they're in the base, they're going to slant him into a one gap, basically. Line him up on the inside shoulder of the center, and it's not a nose tackle. It's still a one-gap defense. But that's what NNadi's role is going to be. And I think you can see Khalen Saunders come in and spell him sometimes, but that's not really the thing. He's really a 3-tech. He's a penetrator, a guy that really wants to jump gaps, and I think that's what his best role is going to be.
Yeah, we play a very attacking style of defense, and, I feel like I'm an aggressive type of defensive tackle. So, it's a lot of upfield things and a lot of just getting off the ball. And I feel like that's one of the strong suits that I can bring to a team as far as just, getting off the ball and getting upfield and making plays. And that's the type of, type of player that Coach Daly wants me to be. So, I feel like, I'm playing to that role really well.
He's going to get some snaps with Chris Jones out for however long he is out. And when they go to the nickel, you got to remember they're going to try to use 2-3 techniques to really get that interior pass rush. They're going to play a little bit with the linebackers too, I'm pretty certain. But I think Saunders is a guy that has more pass rush than run stop right now. I think NNadi's got that locked down. I expect him to start next to Chris Jones come the beginning of the season. But in the meantime, Khalen Saunders can get his reps in and really work on playing with leverage, playing lower, keeping his pads down, and using what he's really natural with. And that is his first step and his explosiveness.
Yeah, like you say, athleticism is a big part of my game.
And especially at a 3 technique, that's a beautiful thing to see because you want to get into those gaps. Both these guys want to take first steps forward, penetrate the pocket. If you can't imagine what that's going to look like, it's going to be more aggressive to the slants rather than trying to engage guys directly like we saw with the 5 techniques in the 3-4 base defense. So it's going to be pushing them around more, making the offensive linemen turn their shoulders and hips a little bit more because of the action of the tackles. Well, that's going to allow some things to happen from the other blitzers, other pass rushers that are going to be on a little bit of a delay, can be, kind of an overload dog kind of thing. Anything from any of the linebackers as well as the safeties, you could get in a Steve Spagnuolo defense. And I think what's going to be key is if you can show enough on film with Saunders, even whether replacing Jones or playing next to him come the nickel and dime packages, it gives you a better opportunity to draw some of those blocks and to get guards' shoulders in particular turned, which makes it harder for them. If you can get a guard's shoulders turned, an inside blitzer can come a little bit out of nowhere, and we saw this with Tyrann Mathieu in the way that he was used in Houston, and kind of slip behind that block without even being seen. That's going to be a big thing for this defense, to use all its chess pieces together, and that penetration is going to be one of the bigger things that's going to help that. Now, we have to consider the other guys that are in this unit as well. Coach Daly's a firebrand. Real intense guy from everything that I've heard and people that I've talked to in Boston. Very, very aggressive, demanding, prefers accountability and will hold you to it, and I think that's key. But he's going to get the most out of each of his guys, and Saunders is definitely the penetrator like Jones is. Nadi's more of a bull in a china shop, definitely plays the run better, but we've seen him be explosive from time to time too. That play in the backfield against the Colts stands out in my head quite a bit. But then you look at Xavier Williams and Justin Hamilton, and those are two other guys that are going to be in the mix. I don't think right now the roster warrants keeping more than 4 of them. Because you're going to have Agba, Speaks, who knows if Passanio even makes this roster, but those two that they're trying to play into hybrid roles where they're going to play some end and some DT. I don't think keeping 5 DTs is in the cards. So it comes down to, can Saunders be that stopgap, that penetrator that can provide pass rush and allow the other guys to be a little bit back of that, a little more well-rounded? I think Justin Hamilton has shown some spark. Xavier Williams, I think, is underrated in terms of his pass rush, but definitely in run downs, he's the best run defender they have along the defensive tackles. So that's significant. And you got to remember that the downfall for this team over the last few years has been the run defense. So I'm not going to be too quick to cut Xavier Williams. I think he ends up making it. Chris disagrees with me. I think it's going to be Hamilton, but that's really what it's going to come down to. And when you mix in that rotation, you're going to see the Chiefs, I think, end up being still a 60-65% sub-package team, meaning non-base. I can't call it a sub if that's what you're in more, but and that means 2-3 techs. And I think that opens the door for Khalen Saunders to play more of a role as his rookie year goes on. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me know what you think. How much of a role can he play, and how do you want to see him be used? I know a lot of folks have theorized that he is going to be the nose tackle that's going to fight with Derek Nadi for reps, and I just don't see that right now. Now, maybe something will change in training camp, but from what I've seen so far, that's not really his game, and that's not really his strength. So I'm looking for them to be adaptive with him, and for the Firebrand and Daly and Spagnuolo to put their heads together and really come up with some interesting packages. You can sub him in for Jones. You can supplement him for Jones. And the interesting thing is, Saunders, like Jones, can play all the way out to the edge. So you can get some loops, you can get some stunts, you can even line them up where maybe, Clark and Speaks are inside. And you have Saunders and Jones on the outside. That's an interesting front. Then you can bring up, a strong safety or at least show a look of a linebacker blitz. It opens up a lot of doors. And I think Khalen Saunders is a guy that not only do they feel can progress during his rookie year, but he's a guy to look to towards the future. So keep a real tight eye on him in training camp because he's going to show some flashes. And if he can string those together, he's going to make a real push for playing time. That's where I see Khalen Saunders right now in his one of the day 2 guys, as I keep calling them. I think that's going to be real important, and he may get a bigger chunk of playing time than anybody realizes right now. So that's it. I'm looking forward for training camp. I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get there. I hope you guys are ready for it too. Make sure, share around the videos, share with your friends, let them know where we are. If you're new to the channel, sub, hit the notifications, leave the thumbs up if you like what I'm doing, and please leave your comments about Khalen Saunders, Chris Jones, the whole defensive front for all I care, down in the comments. Appreciate you guys watching today. Check these out, and I'll talk to you next time.